There are 8 skill sets that every man must master, and in this video you are going to discover what they are and how to go about developing them in your life. Now, it is important to start with some context over here because first and foremost, mastery, I believe, is a process. Mastery is not an end result. Mastery is the process of constantly improving yourself, of constantly seeing that room for improvement. When we see the true masters, in the sense of the word, of LeBron James, a master of basketball, when we see Leonardo da Vinci, a master of arts, when you see all these masters across time, across all of these different civilizations, what we understand is that the master did not see himself as a master. The master saw himself as a student who was always improving, who was always growing, who was always elevating. And also, are these the only 8 skill sets that master? Definitely not. They're not the only skills that matter. There are, of course, more important skills, and you can probably leave a comment below letting me know what you think are important for men to develop as well. But these 8 critical skills really come down to you being good at being a man. Okay, now what is this distinction? What do I mean by you being good at being a man? So this was a distinction that was brought to my awareness from Jack Donovan, who wrote a book called The Way of Men. And he draws a distinction between a good man and a man who is good at being a man, right? So being a good man has to do with your morality. It has to do with your integrity. It has to do with your values and how well you are living in alignment with them. And being good at being a man has to do with your ability to show up in a survival scenario, right? If there is a zombie apocalypse tomorrow, how are you able to show up in that situation, right? So this has to do with your ability, right? So being a good man has to do with your morality, and being good at being a man has to do with your abilities. Okay, and what we are going to be talking about is the 8 critical skills that you must master the ability of so that you can be good at being a man. Okay, now the first skill, which is of critical importance for everything else that we're going to be talking about, you are going to see this come up again and again in every area. It is the way of discipline. Okay. And if you do not discipline yourself, then the world will discipline you. Okay, discipline is your ability to do what needs to be done, right? It's your ability to get the right thing done over the easy thing, regardless of how you feel, right? Discipline is the master key that unlocks your ability to create progress in every area of your life, okay? Discipline is the bridge that leads to freedom. Self-discipline is the bridge between vision and accomplishment. As someone who is watching this video, I'm sure that you have visions for your life to be stronger, to be a better version of yourself, to improve, to grow, to level up, to elevate financially, to elevate your social situation. Everything that you have a vision for in your life, self-discipline is the bridge that will move you towards its accomplishment. Okay, because right now you might be entertaining these ideas, but in order to actually experience them, in order to actually achieve them, in order to actually accomplish them, self-discipline is what will help you do all of that. Okay, and self-discipline, I sincerely believe, is a muscle. It is a learnable and trainable skill. And the more that you exercise this muscle by doing hard things, by doing things that you don't feel like doing, the more that your muscle will grow, the more that you will be able to consistently do the right thing over the easy thing again and again and again. Okay, what defines you as a human being is your ability to choose growth over comfort, right? As someone on the personal development journey, the one thing that you will have to give up, that we all must give up if we are serious, if we are dedicated, if we are devoted to this journey of self-development, is our own comfort. And discipline is the ability to choose growth over comfort, right? So that's the first thing. And of course, you already know, if you've been following this channel for a while, that is what I focus on in the monk mode challenge as well. That is what I help guys develop in their lives as well. Because if you had the discipline, right, if you were able to do the things that you already knew you were supposed to do, your life would be very, very different, right? Imagine your life if you were able to consistently do the right thing over the easy thing, you would be a very, very different person. Now, the second critical skill that every man must master is the practice of self-awareness, okay? And this is definitely a practice, and this is definitely something that we all need more of in our lives, because what we are bombarded with every single day is information, is stimulus, is marketing messages, is all this different stuff coming up in our heads from our family, from our parents, from our childhood conditioning. All of these ideas in our head are not necessarily ours, right? The majority of ideas in your head, I posit, are not your own, right? So self-awareness is really the practice of distinguishing between internal ideas, between your heart's calling, between what is true to you and the things that have been installed from the outside, the things that have been picked up from the outside. And more often than not, these things were picked up when we were children, because as children, we are very impressionable. And in that impressionable state, we pick up all of the stimulus from our environment, and then that can factor in and affect us for the rest of our life. So self-awareness, what does that look like specifically? It looks like journaling. It looks like meditation. It looks like anything that allows you to disconnect from the outside and go internally, so that you can begin to draw this distinction between internal and external ideas and get that awareness on, okay, what am I here to serve as? Who am I here to be? What am I here to offer in terms of my unique creative service and task to this world, to this humanity, right? Like, getting clear on what's important to you is the most important thing, right? Because we have these messages on thinking that what's important is to get this next car, to get this promotion, to get this girl. Like, how do we know that's important? Well, it's for you to decide, right? I'm not here to tell you what's important. It's for you to cut off the stimulus, to get clear and get inside that internal world, so that you can get clarity on what is truly important to you, right? And this is really a practice, because you have to engage in it every single day. You have to engage in this practice so that you can go ahead and disconnect from all the hustle and the bustle, get in that place of silence and uncover the wisdom that is already within you, right? Evaluate yourself on your own standards. And as you evaluate yourself on, okay, I said I was going to do this and I actually did it, and evaluate yourself over the long term, over the weeks, the months, and the years, that evaluation gives you that information on how to improve, right? How to optimize, what's working, what's not working. That is something that you have to manage for yourself. And this really becomes like a game of life that you create for yourself, right? You create your own standards, and then you measure your behaviors of whether they align with those standards or not. And then it's just a process of constant and never-ending refinement and optimization, right? So this is definitely something that I believe every man must master, right? Because if you are not clear on your own values, then you will be picking up values from outside of you. Now, the third skill set is extremely important over here, and that is financial confidence, okay? So notice how I didn't say financial freedom or financial management, because financial confidence is a combination of both of those things, right? It comes through your ability to generate cash flow, right? And it comes from your ability to manage that cash flow as well. And both of these are combined to create financial confidence, because there are examples of people who were able to generate a lot of income, right? Sports stars like Mike Tyson, I think he went up to like 300 or 800 million, something like that, and then he went bankrupt after that, and that was due to a lack of financial management, right? So it's both of these things, and it's about your ability to provide value to the marketplace, right? If your bank account does not reflect your ambitions right now, and the real question is, where can I offer more value, right? Any amount of money that is in your bank account right now came from someone else, right? So how can you help someone else solve their problems? And if you can really develop, again, the skill set, right? This is all encompassing financial confidence. But you are here to offer your unique service to the world, right? How can you combine that unique service with something that people are willing to pay you for, right? And understanding that, this whole financial game, it is not a zero-sum game, right? In order for you to generate income, it's not that someone else has to lose out on it, okay? Look at the average standard of living for the average person living on the planet today. It has elevated dramatically compared to the average person a few hundred years ago. That means that the collective value that has been created is more than anything else, right? So it's like, I can go and provide you with a service. You can get 10x the value that you paid for it. I get paid for it. I give that service to someone else. It's like, I win, you win, right? We can create that situation where it's a win-win, right? It doesn't have to be competition. It can be collaboration in which you're coming together, creating that value, and really creating win-wins all around, right? Creating that abundance for not only ourselves, but the lives that we touch as well. And the more financially confident that you become, the less the external economy actually affects your ability to generate that cash flow. And it's extremely important to have this ability, so that you can go ahead and be a valuable man to the people that you are blessed to be touching, right? The lives that you are blessed to be touching as well, okay? Now, the next thing over here is that of emotional intelligence, okay? And this relates back to self-awareness as well, but it's about you, first and foremost, having an awareness of what the wisdom these emotions carry in our lives. Okay, so many times we get caught up in our emotions. We think that we are our emotions. I am sad, I am angry, I am motivated. But the reality is that you are not your emotions, because emotions come and go. There's something that is at the backdrop that is always there, right? Which is that pure awareness. So the more that we can get altitude on our emotions, why do I feel this way, right? Why do I feel depressed right now? And if you really ask yourself that question, sit with yourself and begin to develop that awareness on, okay, why do I feel this way? Oh, this is why I feel this way. Because I said I was going to do something, I didn't do it. That's why I feel like this way. Or I feel depressed because I'm not expressing my truth, right? Getting awareness on why I feel the way that I do, right? Because more often than not, our emotions are signals for us. And if we are cutting off that signal from escaping it, right, say, oh, I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna go smoke this joint right now. Oh, I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna go eat this food right now. I still go through that. Even at this point, like sometimes I feel uncomfortable and there is a tendency, there's this compulsion to go and eat some food. But I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. Let's just sit with this emotion for a minute, get an awareness on what it's trying to tell me. And that's one aspect of it, right? Emotional awareness. And then also taking responsibility for the emotions that you want to experience in your life, right? We all want to experience more joy, more peace, more fulfillment in our lives. So it's about, again, going back to the self-awareness. How can you consciously create the emotions that you want to experience, right? So for example, let's say you're feeling a bit tight and you're like, yo, I feel kind of frustrated and I have this tendency to go and eat or something. And you go and like move your body, you go work out. 30 minutes later, you are feeling very different, right? It's the mind-body connection, the body-mind connection. It's a bi-directional relationship. Both affect each other. And you can literally change your emotional state by moving your body. You can change your emotional state with your vocal tonality, right? If you are screaming and you're like, yo, I feel amazing right now. Yo, I'm going to do this. I'm fucking motivated right now. You change your whole physiology. That affects your psychology as well, right? So emotional intelligence is really emotional awareness, first and foremost. Okay, what is this emotion trying to tell me? And then secondly, it is your ability to consciously create the emotions you want to experience. And what I can tell you is that the highest highs that I have experienced in my life, like the peace, the joy, have really come down to the simple activity of saying what I'm going to do and doing what I'm going to say, right? When you keep your word to yourself, when you keep your promises to yourself, that is the gateway towards increasing your self-respect, towards increasing your self-esteem, towards increasing your trust in yourself. And there's nothing that can compare to that, right? You can go and take a line of Coke, you can go and take a hit of a joint, you can go and take a sip of alcohol that makes you feel good in the moment. But when you consistently do the things that you said you were going to do, when you consistently execute the plan that you have determined for yourself, when you do that and you look back and you reflect on it through your journaling process or through your self-awareness practices, you're like, wow, man, like, you know, I said I'm going to do something, I did it, and there is no high that has, in my experience, can even compare to that. Okay? Now, the fifth skill set that every man must master is effective communication. Okay, so this is such a critical component of what is being said. Is that being communicated right now? How is what I am saying right now being picked up by the other party right now? And it really comes down to empathy as well, and understanding that effective communication can only come through empathy, to understanding the other person's worldview. And this is so critical because sometimes we're like, yo, I have this expectation of this person did not meet up with that expectation, and now I'm feeling frustrated because he did not meet up with that expectation. But what if we could switch that perspective and understand that everyone is functioning through the same perspective, which is, I want the best for what I think is best for me, right? And it's like, okay, this person wants what they think is best for them. But what if what they think is best for them is not necessarily best for them, and I know what's best for them, right? And that can get kind of slippery, but that's the difference between manipulation and influence, right? Manipulation is when I get you to do something for my good, right? It's like, I want you to lose out and I'm manipulating you into doing this thing, and it's going to hurt you and it's going to benefit me. Now, influence in my worldview is me getting you to do something that is for your own self-interest, which is for your own best benefit, right? So effective communication, sales, like sales gets a bad rep sometimes, like the used car salesman. But what if you have something of value that can change someone's life? Then it becomes your moral duty and obligation to communicate the value of that to the person that it can change, to the person whose life it can change. And effective communication is really about that process, right? About you having the best interest for someone and getting them to invest in that change for themselves, right? Effective communication takes place everywhere, right? In our relationships, in every situation that we go through, it's like, how can I effectively communicate, right? How can I meet the end goal that I'm striving to achieve, rather than just get caught up in the communication, getting caught up in the frustration, expressing whatever comes to mind. It's like, how can I be more strategic about that, right? So like a great resource about understanding social dynamics, understanding human dynamics, understanding why people do what they do, right? Again, it comes down to the empathy, it comes down to the compassion as well. And that is really a lifelong skill, because mastery, like I said, it's a process. It's something that we can continue to refine, continue to improve, because humans are such complicated creatures. And I think it also starts with self-knowledge, right? The more you understand yourself, the more that you can actually understand others as well. But extremely critical to master this. Now, the next thing over here is, of course, related to this, which is social intelligence, right? So it relates to effective communication, and it comes down to social intelligence, which is understanding people's own motives, right? So social intelligence is like, okay, this person wants this, and then effective communication would be aligning with that incentive, right? How can we align incentives? If I want you to do something, how can I align that incentive with, you know, like, okay, this person, I want them to invest in my product, for example. So how can I communicate the reality that if this guy invests in my product, his life will be way better than it is right now? And also, it's going to generate income in the business as well. So how can we create that win-win? And social intelligence, like, you know, you can go and first and foremost, like it said, you know, it starts with self-knowledge, but there's a lot of resources out there, but also understanding the power games that people play, right? Like how politics comes into that. Robert Greene has written a bunch of books. I think he wrote, I know he wrote a book called 48 Laws of Power, right? He also wrote a book called Mastery. He wrote a book called Laws of Human Nature, which I have not read to this point, but really having that awareness on what people's motivations are, what are people's incentives, why do they do what they do, so that you can effectively communicate and get them to, you know, do things that align with the higher perspective, and everyone can win through that communication, through that interaction, right? Now, the seventh skill is extremely critical, and that is survival skills. Okay? Now, this is something that I was actually talking to my parents about. I was like, yo, if tomorrow the supermarket shut down, I don't even know how I would get food, right? Like, I don't even know how to hunt. I don't even know how to start a fire without a lighter. And this is something that I've been developing more, entertaining these thoughts, let's just say, because of the situation that we're going through right now. Like, you never know what can happen tomorrow. But survival skills, like, it relates back to being good at being a man, right? And it's coming down to your ability to survive in a scenario where there is chaos, where there is mayhem, right? This relates to survival skills in the sense of self-defense as well. Can you actually protect yourself? Can not only yourself, can you actually protect the people that you are responsible for protecting, your family, right? This is something that I think about a lot as well, because self-defense is something that I have been tipping my toe into, that I keep on getting injured. Like boxing for a while, did jiu-jitsu for a while, busted my knee. And, you know, I have no experience with firearms either, and I suspect that is an important skill to master moving forward as well. Because, like, for me, it's like, yeah, I've gotten my ass beat a lot of times, right? Not a lot, maybe 2 or 3 times, you know, just gotten beaten up. And that's fine, right? Like, whatever, it's just me. But if I have a wife, if I have kids, and I'm unable to actually show up in that situation where there is chaos, where there is danger, then I'm not really showing up as a man that is good at being a man, right? So definitely an area for improvement over there for myself. And those are the 7 skills. And then the final skill is a meta skill, and that is that of Kanai. Okay, what is Kanai? Kanai is constant and never-ending improvement, right? Always learning, always improving, because if you are not growing, then you are dying, right? The one and only constant in this physical universe is change. And if you're not changing for the better, then you are definitely getting bitter. All right, there's no two ways about it, right? You're either moving forward or you are moving backwards, because there's nothing that will ever stay the same. And this is why it is so critical to master the skill of self-improvement, to always be learning, to always be growing, to always be leveling up in your life, so that you can go and improve not only your quality of life, but the quality of lives that you are touching as well, and serving as that example for the people that you are blessed to touch. Okay, so those are the 8 critical skill sets that every man must master in my worldview. Let me know in the comments below, right? Which one of these skills are you working on right now? Which skill are you working on that is not included on this list? Because someone that I look up to, Tom Bilyeu, who is the founder of a company called Impact Theory, he says that the purpose of life itself is to develop skills with utility and to put those skills to the test in service of something bigger than yourself. Right? Now, we were talking in the context of manly skills about how to survive in a scenario where shit hits the fan. But I believe that these actually are all encompassing and really allow us to thrive and prosper in this world, rather than getting caught up in that lower level paradigm of survival, right? So survival skills are still important, but nonetheless, it's like if you are confident in your ability to protect, then you will be more confident in your ability to actually show up when that situation comes up, which inevitably it might, right? So a Zen quote that comes to mind is like, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than gardener in a war. Right? So being prepared is part of that process as well. Okay, so leave a comment below with the number 1 skill you're working on right now out of these, and which one you are working on. Which skills do you think should be included on this list that are not there already? And subscribe if you have not already. It really helps the channel grow. Like the video if you like it. But with all that being said, this has been Mo. I hope you got value from this video. I'm going to leave you in the peace and power of the one infinite creator, and I will catch you in the next one.